We're kicking things off with our 2020 roundup. First up, it's been a rough couple weeks for Joe Biden. After a series of embarrassing gaffes, it looks like he has another major problem: overconfidence. Take a look.
I've done very well in states like Pennsylvania and Michigan. I think that I have as good a chance or better than anyone to be able to win in those states. And no Democrat has ever won the presidency of late without winning Pennsylvania. I think I could do well.
Biden's banking on voters holding their noses and voting for him. But it looks like it's ready to backfire. Check out what one pollster is saying about Iowa. I did not meet one Biden voter who was in any way, shape, or form excited about voting for Biden. They feel that they have to vote for Joe Biden as the centrist candidate to keep somebody from the left who they feel is unelectable from getting the nomination. Katie, what do you think about that?
Well, when you look at the enthusiasm of President Trump and the number of people who are still going to his rallies backed by the economy, this is going to be a problem for Joe Biden. And the thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks is when he's asked questions about his policy positions, when he's running against Elizabeth Warren, for example, he doesn't really want to talk about them, or he has changed them. And when you look at his momentum going into the early states, he's saying, I've done well in Pennsylvania, I've done well in these other places. He's never done well running for president.
Right.
And if you look at the donor threshold that he has big donors. He doesn't have small donors like Elizabeth Warren. And small donors translate into grassroots activism, people going door to door, talking to their neighbors, trying to convince them to get involved or at least to think about maybe voting for a certain candidate. President Trump has that. Elizabeth Warren has that. I would say Bernie Sanders has that. Biden doesn't have that at this point. And if he really thinks that people are just going to hold their nose and, as his wife said, vote for him even if he's not the best candidate, I think that he's on a losing path for sure.
Juan, do you think he's taking people for granted?
Not at all. I mean, he has every reason to be confident. I mean, just think about today. His argument is, I can beat Trump, right? And his ability to beat Trump is shown in the polls. But look at what's going on today. Trump is doing badly. Stock market in turmoil. What they lose, close to 600 points today. The deficit is soaring. Trump is fighting with Jerome Powell, the Fed chief. He says he's worse than the Chinese. I mean, Trump is telling American companies what to do, and yet he's calling other people socialists. I wonder who the socialist is here.
He's a patriot.
I see. And you get into a situation where it looks like, you know what? Trump's #1 claim was, I got the economy. And now that claim has gone to
Your
seed.
dream is coming true, Juan. You want this country's economy to tank just so you can get a Democrat.
No. But I'm saying doesn't in fact Joe Biden, as he sits there and says, I can win Pennsylvania, I can win. He can be saying not I'm delighting in problems, but I can come with solutions. And this guy, this Trump has no solution.
Here's the problem with Joe, okay? The more you put Joe out there, the more Joe gaffes you get. So, but if you keep him sequestered in a sub-zero freezer out in the woods, then he will not be prepared for the steamroller that is Trump. So you got to put him out there, but at the same time, you don't want to put him out there. The strategy is to return to a sense of calm, and but you're supposed to say, "Oh, Joe Biden is going to make you feel more comfortable," but his shakiness undermines it. So you're like, when you compare him to Trump, it's like going from a loud dragster to a shopping cart with 3 wheels. It's safe, but it rattles and it doesn't really work. So I'm thinking, what is the absolute latest that somebody big could enter this race? Because this is like an episode of The Love Boat without Captain Stubing or Isaac the bartender. It's all supporting cast. There's not even Julie, the cruise director, up there on the stage.
What about your girl, Marianne?
Marianne's the only person I have faith in. Marianne Williamson is the only person who could do this. Call me, Marianne.
And Juan masterfully transitioned the segment into Donald Trump. So I do have to mention that he just tweeted that he's slapping additional tariffs on China as the market closed.
He's been busy, very busy today on Twitter. I would just, Juan, when you make your argument for Joe Biden's candidacy, it seems to be all about President Trump.
That's what Biden's campaign's about.
No, I get it. But, you need somebody who is inspiring if you want to unseat an incumbent president. The only two people who've done that in recent history, Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton. I mean, think about how dynamic those candidacies were. That is not what you're seeing right now on the stage. Now, I think these fall debates are going to be a very big factor for these candidates and for Joe Biden in particular. But in terms of inspiration and lifting the nation and a positive message that was really embodied by those two candidates, I don't think you're seeing it here.
And it looks like some Democrat primary voters are voting for Biden as a default to prevent the rise of the far left. All right, next, Bernie Sanders getting called out on the campaign trail after rolling out his $16 trillion Green New Deal. Turns out the socialist is a bit of a hypocrite, though, when it comes to climate. Watch.
You seem adamant about climate change.
Yep.
Of course. So what ways would you take to practice what you preach if you were to become president?
No, I'm not going to walk to California. All right, look, I understand that. We do the best we can as an example, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're not going to use fossil fuels. I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to get on a plane. That would not be true.
I mean, it seems like people like Bernie have a higher threshold, Martha, when it comes to, walking the walk.
Absolutely. I mean, when I watched that moment, it reminded me of when we did our town hall with Bernie Sanders, and it had just been announced that he made over $1 million on his book. And I asked him, you say that millionaires and billionaires should pay more in their taxes. So would you volunteer, to walk the walk, to say, you know what, I should be paying more because I am now a millionaire?
What did he say? I forgot.
He was mean, first of all. and he said, why don't you pay more? And I said, well, I'm not running for president, and I'm not advocating any of the things that you're talking about. But why wouldn't you? So he doesn't like to be pressed on these issues that he claims to feel strongly about, and that was another example.
You can tell, you're right, that is his biggest weakness. When you accuse him of hypocrisy, he gets very defensive.
Well, first, Bernie better call up the Obamas, because they just purchased a $12 million mansion on the coast. Now, if you listen to the Dems, that coast will not be there in 10 years. So does the Obamas know something that the Dems don't? That it's all BS, which stands for Bernie Sanders. The thing is, the secret to being a progressive is to be on top. Because if you're on top, then you can enforce your beliefs without ever having to adhere to them. And then when people come after you, you can be like de Blasio, and you go, well, you know what? I got everybody else to obey and to sacrifice, which allows me to go to the gym in Brooklyn with an entourage, or with Bernie to own 3 homes and fly private or first class.
Yeah, that's like Bill Maher. He can root for a recession because he can wait out a recession with his money.
Well, I remember when Beto's tax returns or financials came out, and people said, well, why haven't you donated more to charity since you come from a very wealthy family? And he essentially said, well, I am the gift. I am the gift, and I'm running for president to do the most good. And people like Bernie Sanders want to control every type of industry so that the little guy has to come and beg them for whatever it is that they need. He's the guy that said that bread lines in Nicaragua were a good thing, right? I mean, but he's the one who's not going to be standing in those lines, right?
Is that right?
No, that's not true, Juan.
That
was a joke.
Very bad.
I listen to you too much.
You probably shouldn't.
But I must say, I'm so curious, because it seems to me that when I look at the people who are backing Donald Trump, the big donors, they're on top. And they seem to be putting their money into Donald Trump. Donald Trump is doing great with the big donors, with the Steve Rosses and all.
And the little donors.
Well,
60%.
Is doing a little better. But you know what? You look at the money that comes from PACs, Greg. The so-called dark money. He has a huge lead in this. But to get back to Bernie for a second. All of you, I think, are not understanding that Bernie is not playing small ball. He's talking transformational politics on issues that the Republicans have nothing to say about.
Then he will be the nominee, as I predicted.
But I don't know. You see, I don't know that Democrats feel confident that he won't be easily portrayed. He calls himself a socialist, and what does Trump want?
He's a stronger candidate than energy-wise than Joe.
Juan, the way that you change behavior, especially when it comes to pollution and the environment, is to do it on an individual level. And if someone like Bernie Sanders can't name one possible thing that he's willing to cut back on when he's telling everyone else we're going to tax you out the wazoo, tax the middle class, sue the oil companies, completely take over the government with the oil companies for no crime that they've committed, and yet he's not willing to say one thing he's willing to do.
Finally, Liz Warren almost did this again. Apparently, Liz did didn't quite learn her lesson after being mocked on the
that's
campaign
mean.
trail. Luckily for her, someone stepped in and stopped her from another embarrassment. Saved.
Oh my gosh.
Using
to the
children
left
as props.
I loved in the article on this, it said, it appeared she might try to dance.
You can see it
When
coming.
it appeared that she might try to dance something.
was
I'm
not
sorry.
good.
I actually, you know what? This is making me kind of like her a little bit better, actually.
Really?
You know what it is? It's not her fault.
Yeah, she's just very,
She
you know,
was
that's
born
how
that
she dances.
way.
And, you know, I find this much more endearing than the, you know, like, do you want to have a beer with me? That,
That's
But
true.
here's the issue, okay? They're choosing the wrong music. Choose inspirational music you can't dance to, right? Like some good death metal would
God.
be good. But I mean, like, you can't. Everybody thinks they can dance to this song, and they can't.
I think we got to kick Martha McCallum off this show. She is too nice.
yeah.
She identifies with the struggles of a candidate on stage in a far too rational way for us.
I'm giving advice.
She identifies with someone who can't dance.
That's it.
No, I
didn't
can
you say
dance,
that
as I told you.
also
I
done
know.
Good
Well, we
dancer.
haven't seen proof of that yet.
Yes.
Well, maybe
Can
I'll
someone
freak
fire
out.
up some RESPC too?
Vaughn also
Katie.
said that he is not much of a dancer, so maybe you can have some empathy for her. I think she's
Yes,
having
Vaughn.
fun. I don't want to bully her about
Exactly.
her dancing. It's
Hey,
fine.
Greg, can you say something mean about it, please?
Let me say that her arms are longer than mine, and that bothers me.
How about she's taking dance lessons from Beto O'Rourke?
Or worse, Sean Spicer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or she's a fake Indian.